Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is from the Girl Scouts of Rhode Island. She's the CEO. She is Jean Ann McGrain. It is her first time on the show, and we welcome her to the show. Welcome.
Sean, thank you. It's great to see here and be here. I'm really thrilled.
We're thrilled to have you. Everybody has heard about the Girl Scouts, but maybe they are not aware of the Girl Scouts, their mantra, the goals, and we'll get into the history a little bit too, and of course talk about some cookies today. But as far as what the Girl Scouts are all about.
Sean, our mission as Girl Scouts is to help build girls of courage, confidence, and character who make the world a better place. That's no small mission when you really think about it.
It's very true.
And for me as the CEO, it's pretty humbling because we have a lot to do. And we're building on a 100-year legacy, a history of actually creating leadership opportunities for girls.
And you know what? The world we live in is very different than it was 100 years ago. So, there are different challenges now, but also a lot more opportunities, I would imagine, right?
It's interesting. There's different challenges, but it's in many ways there's some of the very similar challenges for any young person is to be able to find out who they are, to develop confidence, develop courage, to really be able to find their way in the world and make a difference. So Girl Scouts has been helping girls do that for 100 years. The difference today is I think our challenges they're global.
Right.
They're so much greater in a way than they were 100 years ago.
Yeah, and the world is much more interconnected now, not just because of the internet, but just, commerce, economies. The world is smaller because we're all connected more, don't you think? Yeah.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we're focusing on at Girl Scouts of Rhode Island, recognizing that our girls really need to be able to not only understand our communities in Rhode Island and our 12 communities in Massachusetts and Pawcatuck, Connecticut, but they need to also understand what their role will be or should be to make the world a better place, and that's the whole world. It's a huge challenge for them to begin to understand what it's like to have the kind of understanding of different cultures, how other people are facing their challenges, and how we can all communicate together. And that's something I didn't have to face when I was growing up.
Right, yeah.
I don't know about you, but
right.
I didn't have to face it.
Yeah,
really.
It was like a simpler time back when we were growing up, and now, it may seem more complicated to us, but, I would imagine young people adapt very well to it.
Well, they do. I think they do, and that's one of the things in Girl Scouts. You asked what our mission was, to help create girls of courage, confidence, and character to make the world a better place. And our vision is to be the preeminent leadership development organization for girls in the world. We have a 100-year legacy. We have a worldwide network. There are Girl Scouts not only around the United States, but all over the world. And we have the ability to connect our girls with girls around the world so that they can share their experiences, they can develop friendships, and we know from our history that those friendships that girls make in Girl Scouts, especially when they're young, and they are really lifelong friendships, that's the kind of relationship that's going to make a difference in the world in the future.
So there's a lot of cooperation between the different Girl Scout states and worldwide. Girl Scouts of Rhode Island isn't just an entity unto itself. You're interspersed, and there's a lot of interaction with other Girl Scout locales, so to speak.
Well, that's something that we're working on. The Girl Scouts Girl Scouts as an organization over the last, let's say, 6 to 7 years, really took a hard inner look. Well, who are we as an organization? What do we need to adapt in order to better serve our girls? And so we recognized that our girls really needed to be able to connect to other girls, not only in the United States, but around the world, and really build on what we call the Girl Scout leadership experience. The Girl Scout leadership experience is really let's call it our core product in terms of developing our Girl Scout programs, from the daisies. Those are the
Right. I was thinking brownies, but daisies are even younger than brownies. Yeah.
Our girls are kindergarten to 12th grade. So from kindergarten to 12th grade, the Girl Scout leadership experience cuts through everything that girls do. And it's about discover, connect, and take action. Now, what does that mean? Discover, girls start, when they're little, start to learn who they are. They start developing confidence. They start developing self-esteem. They learn to explore, take risks, make a mistake, fail, in a safe environment. That's all part of what we offer in Girl Scouts. They learn to connect, starting again when they're the daisies and brownies, to connect with other girls, but also in their communities, looking out to how they are a part of a whole, bigger whole, and then obviously in a global sense. And then the other part is the take action piece, is that what can you do as an individual or a group to make a difference? And we have girls doing that all the time, from brownie troops that do called Tuna Tuesdays. We had one.
You might be speaking my language there.
I might.
Yeah.
It's tuna fish though. But the brownie troop was asked every Tuesday when they would meet for their troop to bring a can of tuna, and the can of tuna was donated to the local food bank. And the girls kept track of how many cans they gave in the course of the year. Now, again, these are first and second graders.
Wow. Wow.
So that take action piece gets expanded as the girls get older.
Yeah. In this day and age, how much interest is there still? Are girls, young girls, still interested in wanting to be in Girl Scouts and even younger, like you talked about, daisies, brownies? And I ask that question in the sense of today there are so many more things for them to participate in, to do, to be a part of, that there probably was less things. You know, there was the Girl Scouts and then there were a few other choices back when. Now there are so many other things for them to do. So is there still that interest there? I know there is, but talk about that a little bit.
That's really a great question. For young girls, especially our K to 5, kindergarten through 5th grade, girls still come into Girl Scouts, and we really are the primary area or opportunity for girls. Our challenge actually in that age group is finding leaders, volunteers who can help meet our demand. The challenge is obviously as girls get older, they have many other things to choose from.
Right, and they start to lose interest. Some start to lose interest because, like you said, you know, once, you know, boys capture their eye and just, you know, maybe like they start thinking about, you know, their career goals and just all kinds of things like that.
So and historically, the old model was that Girl Scouts had to be a member of a troop.
Right.
Girl Scouts USA, our overarching organization, they recognized that we had to have a different way that girls could continue with Girl Scouts. So now you can be a Girl Scout in a troop, that's a traditional model, but you also can join just to go to a series. We have different series. We have robotic series, for example.
Wow.
We are building a state-of-the-art STEAM series of programs, and STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's been STEM. But Rhode Island School of Design is one of the leaders nationwide in moving STEM to STEAM. And why include arts? Because it's that creative side of the brain that you can do. I'm a scientist by background, but you still have to have that creative side to really come up with the new ideas that are going to be, you know, world-changing.
I would imagine that you know, an organization, if it wants to stay relevant, has to keep up with the times, including the current trends and technology. I assume that the Girl Scouts are involved with social media. I'm sure, you know, they're aware that girls like to have their iPhones and their tablets and their iPads and their laptops and apps, and Girl Scouts are probably plugged into all that too. Wherever your core base is, wherever they are, you need to be too, right?
You're absolutely right. And we have a very active Facebook page, and we're, again, developing more opportunities in social media. Also helping the girls to learn what the opportunities are through social media to, again, make a difference. Whether or not it's in learning about what micro-lending is to do economic development in some developing country, to girls to learn about that, how different not-profits raise a lot of money for a cause. I mean, my personal goal is that girls are able to stay with Girl Scouts and develop the worldview, the understanding of how other people are making a difference just by themselves if they want to, or in a group, and that when they go into college and graduate, they can decide whatever they want to do because they have that experience and exposure that will set their path for the rest of their lives.
And when they do go on their path, whatever it is, they're always a Girl Scout. They always have that, and as far as you're concerned, they'll always be a Girl Scout. And they're always welcome back in some capacity if they want to volunteer or maybe just speak about their experiences, right?
I'm going to have you come and give
Yeah. I've never been a Girl Scout.
That's all right. We welcome you as a Girl Scout. In our 100 years, obviously, there have been many, many Girl Scouts. Today, there are 50 million living Girl Scouts.
Wow.
And part of our goal in our challenge is to reach those women that have been Girl Scouts because we really need them. We need them now more than ever to help our girls be mentors, be role models, whether or not you're a physician, you're a scientist, you're a creative jeweler. We need you to help show girls what you do and how they could follow in your path if they so choose.
And not every girl will stay with it for, a longer period of time, some shorter, some, will veer off onto another path or another choice. As far as the activities they do, but they still have been a Girl Scout, and whatever they decide to do, right?
Absolutely. I'll give you myself as an example. I was a Girl Scout starting at 7 years old. I went through to 12. Then I moved in a different school, which is very common, and I made great friends in Girl Scouts that I carry through my whole life, but I also connected with the environment by going to camp. I went to camp when I was 7, and I stayed in camp as long as I could. But that set my path in environmental conservation and natural stewardship, which is really, I've held.
That's what you're a scientist, you mentioned.
That's
so,
right.
Yeah.
I'm a scientist. I have a commitment to conservation, and I trace that directly back to my Girl Scout experience.
And it's been with you ever since,
Absolutely,
right?
and you don't forget it. You never forget it. Absolutely.
Is there any relationship between Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts at all, aside from name? Because they kind of, they all have troops, and they all, you can participate and earn badges and accomplishments and stuff like that. Is there any relationship at all?
We don't have a formal relationship. There may be a program that we do together. In fact,
Participate together.
We're actually going to be doing a joint recruitment program for elementary school boys and girls around STEAM.
No kidding.
It's going to be a STEAM-focused recruitment program in elementary schools this fall, which is our major recruitment time of the year, which is pretty
It makes
exciting.
sense, too, that time of the year, but also it makes sense, not necessarily in a consolidation state, but it just makes sense to, why not recruit together at the same time? And, the goals are very similar, right?
Well, I think in terms of being able to to help young boys and young girls develop that confidence, that self-esteem, that outward-looking aspect to the world, outdoors, a real commitment to outdoors, that we do have similar, backgrounds, that this is a new opportunity for us, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the success is of it.
Speaking of success, whenever, an organization is has aspirations of a new big headquarter location, that's a big deal, and it shows that there is success. Talk about the Girl Scouts and the headquarters.
Well, Sean, we just moved to a new headquarter building in Warwick, Rhode Island. We were in downtown Providence in what we call the Canal House. It was a great old building, but I'll underline old, and we needed more space. And we needed more space primarily to serve our girls. We needed a hub where girls could come, and we could also have programs that we could connect with the girls around our council area. So at our new headquarters, we have 20,000 square feet. The top floor is our offices, but the lower level is devoted totally to our Girl Leadership Center. That's what we're in the process of developing programs to support that Girl Scout leadership experience that I mentioned earlier. And we are we just completed a 6-month visioning study where we interviewed leading women in Rhode Island. We interviewed other councils, other organizations that serve youth to see what best practices are, what we could learn from them. And we identified these 6, we call them centers of excellence, around which we will be building our programs.
How was it funded? Was that difficult? Because that always seems to be a challenge whenever you're talking about a nonprofit, right?
Well, we're in the process of having what we call a strategic campaign where we will be raising money to support this new center, because obviously it's not only having the space has to be fitted out, it also has to provide the really state-of-the-art technology that's going to enable us to help our girls actually achieve their visions, to connect with girls, whether or not that's in Sri Lanka or Paris, that they're able to really see the world through and we have to provide that technology.
And it can be expensive, I would imagine, right?
Yes, it can be very expensive, and I need other people to tell me what we need there, but we're going to be moving in that direction.
How did the recession treat you, the Girl Scouts? I mean, it is a nonprofit, and I've had a lot of nonprofits on this show, and we're supposedly coming out of it now, but it certainly had to have been a bit of a difficult time as far as generating funds and support, whether financial or even volunteer efforts from people if they could or couldn't do it. Talk about that a little bit.
That's actually another really good observation. I mean, in tough economic times, actually, Girl Scouts has been in one way, a real bargain. It cost $15. It actually was $12 to join Girl Scouts, and then you had your troop fees for girls. But overall, if you're a parent and you're having a tough time, even if this is a really pretty good deal in terms of a program, you still have to make choices. We do have a significant amount of financial aid. A lot of our donations come in to support girls, especially girls maybe from lower income families in some of our urban areas, to support them actually in their troop activities or in what we call camperships, where girls can go to camp and they can get a scholarship. So we've been very fortunate to have continued giving and donations to support those scholarships. That being said, we still have to raise the money in order to be able to grow the programs that the girls need. We can't keep doing things the same way because that just won't do it.
I've found from talking to a lot of people that people are generous and they're willing, even in tough economic times, they're willing to dig into their pockets and give, even if it's it has to be a little lower on their list of priorities. They give what they can,
Well, I think they do, and I think our challenge is that people have a image of Girl Scouts.
Misconception?
A misconception or a conception that is targeted on one thing.
Right.
Let me go to that one thing.
Well, this is clearly the most important part, and this should have started out the show. We should have done the whole show on this topic, but since you brought it up, we'll get to it right now. I want you to pay close attention. Your scarf, it's very, very reminiscent of the box that I enjoy so much, and more importantly, what's on the inside of the box, and that is, of course, Thin Mints, one of the many Girl Scout cookie brands that are available, and it's one of the greatest gifts that has been given to man is Girl Scout cookies.
Well, we're glad you feel that way.
Doesn't everybody?
Well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
I mean, obviously you've bought Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah,
right?
From time to time. I might have tried one.
A case or two.
Director, I can't get the director to stop laughing over here now.
So you bought Girl Scout cookies. Did you know that when you bought those Girl Scout cookies, you were contributing to the largest financial literacy program for girls in the world?
Makes me feel good about eating 2 sleeves at once.
That's good, because those girls really need that financial literacy support.
Here's the great thing about the Girl Scout cookies is, and this is a thought that's in everybody's mind, is when you're at work and they pass the sheet around.
Right.
You know what I mean? Isn't that a staple of society? Kind of passing that sheet around, and I'll take 2 boxes of Thin Mints and the peanut butter cookies. I mean, that's done in every workplace and probably school too, right?
Well, in all fairness, the core of the Girl Scout cookie program is about it's a girl-led business. I'm not going to deny that
the parents are taking them to work.
Parents are helping, but the girls really are
when you
about
see them
selling.
out there.
When they're in there, there's not as much the door-to-door, which is what I used to do, but they do what we call booth sales.
Yeah, it's at the supermarket, right outside the door.
Supermarket, any of the large convenience stores, you'll see the booth sales. So most people don't realize that, first of all, it's a girl-led business. What does that mean? That means the girls get a percentage of their sales. So every time you buy a cookie, a percentage of that sale goes back. The girls get their own piece, but that piece is in what we call cookie credits. So you could, if you were the girl, you would get those cookie credits to either buy your badges or your sashes in the Girl Scout shop, or you could go to camp. The other percentage goes back to your troop. And then the troop decides. Again, this gets back to group decision making. The troop decides, not the leader, the girls, what do you want to do with that money? Do you want to plan for a trip? Do you want to go to the mall and learn about whatever? Do you want to give back? And this is actually one of the things that very few people realize, is that each year we identify a council-wide charity that the troops can contribute, the girls can contribute to. Last year, this past year, our council-wide charity was the Gloria Dinsmore Have a Heart camp. Our girls donated over $6,300 to that cause.
Wow.
And that's from the cookie proceeds.
Well, I've done my part. That's
Thank
all
you.
I got.
So
We're going to be doing more too, actually.
Well,
yeah.
I think if people understood that this is a very detailed series program, from the learning your cold call skills when you're in kindergarten. You may think it's an easy sale,
but who would say no to? How are you going to say no if a Girl Scout wants you to? Buy a box.
People do say no.
Really?
And that's part of learning.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Not everybody's going to say yes.
Right. Someone's going to close the door on you. There's going to be a phone that'll be hung up on you once in a while, and someone's going to say no.
And people aren't always nice.
Yeah.
And so the girls are learning those skills and those customer service skills starting at a very early age, and they build on them. To the girls that stay in Girl Scouts become some of the most successful entrepreneurs after they get out of college, because they've got that taste.
Yeah, from way back when they were a little girl.
And they've learned what it is to do customer service, develop a business plan, to develop an entrepreneurial strategy. So that's all part of the cookie program.
You were a young Girl Scout, and you have risen to the ranks of, your life career was mapped out, I think, because you're the CEO of Girl Scouts of Rhode Island. So, I mean, you've stayed with the organization for, all this time, and it's the love of your life, isn't it?
Well, let me clarify something.
Okay.
I have just come back to Girl Scouts.
You were a scientist, right?
I had a very long career. And what you just helped me realize as I'm listening to you is that one of the consistencies in my career has been leadership. Wherever I would go, it would be, whether or not it was in environmental conservation, public health, management, and different kinds of forums. It's that leadership that I got from Girl Scouts that I carried with me. And I had the opportunity to come back home, because I grew up in Rhode Island, but also come back and give to Girl Scouts.
Is there a website, Girl Scouts of Rhode Island, that people can go and learn more?
Yes, gsri.org.
We'll put a graphic up on the screen as well. Jean Ann McGrain, CEO of the Girl Scouts of Rhode Island. We are out of time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It goes fun. We had a lot of cookie talk in there, but that's important that we got to that. So, but it was indeed a pleasure having you on the show, and I hope you'll come back at another time, okay?
Sean, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of For the Record. You can see this show and many others on our YouTube site. Until next time, we will see you next time. Take care.